The Layman's Guide to Threat Modeling. Before we get into the video, I'm going to kind of make this serve as an announcement. Not long ago, I announced on Twitter that I was going to do a cybersecurity course. I then clarified that I was going to do it on Udemy and that I was going to charge $25 per student for it. So the reason why I decided to do it on Udemy was kind of to cover the costs of the course, but I realized later on that this was going to limit the people who were going to be able to take it, which wasn't really what I thought about doing the course for. I kind of wanted this to be a wide audience sort of thing to kind of reach people who weren't already in cybersecurity. And a lot of the people that I wanted to reach, honestly, weren't going to have the financial means to take a $25 course on Udemy. So without further ado, this is the course. I'm going to do it free. I'm going to do it all on YouTube, and it's going to stay free forever. That being said, I am going to have to fund it somehow, and I'm going to do it through my good old trusty tip jar Patreon. If you do enjoy the content, or if you just kind of want to support the cause, that would be great. Go to my Patreon page, or you can donate through pretty much every major cryptocurrency by following the links in the description. I'll also leave the link to my Patreon page in this kind of overlay right here. I'm going to edit this in post. It's going to look really good and polished and professional. So visit my Patreon page. If you want to give $1, I mean, that helps. It's going to help fund the course. It's going to kind of help offset some of the costs because I'm paying for subscriptions for video editing. I'm paying for some of the equipment that I've bought, my time. All of that is going into this course, and I have to kind of try to cover those costs somehow. Now, let's get into it. Threat modeling. What is it? How do you explain it? We're going to skip over the definitions, and we're going to go right for an example. So we've got Joe Incorporated, and Joetopia. Those are our three examples. Joe is your normal average Joe. He owns a lawn mowing business. He has a wife and 2.5 kids and has pretty normal financials, actually. Got a 401k, doesn't have much in it, just like anybody else. Joe Incorporated has offices in several different countries, a lot of which have state-owned enterprise companies that are also competing for a little bit of money. Joetopia is the big dude on the international block. He's got the highest GDP of any country, and it's been like that for a while. He also has the biggest military, the shiniest stuff, and the smartest people. So needless to say, he's made quite a few friends and a lot of enemies along the way. Now let's take this example and apply threat modeling to it without even giving any kind of definition. Let's start with Joetopia. They've got all the shiny things, all the money, all the smartest people, and they've got a military that they have tended to use in recent history, which has kind of pissed a couple of people off. Joetopia also has a tendency to spend quite a bit of money on their cyber defense budget, so needless to say, they're a pretty hard target. So let's get down to the question. The one question that is threat modeling dumbed down. Who should Joetopia worry about? Well, Joetopia and their big, shiny military has tended to follow the big stick principle, but they don't really follow the walk softly part. They tend to swing the stick rather often, and that has pissed off a lot of other countries. Along with their military exploits, they also have a pretty big research and development budget, which means a lot of smart people and a lot of money going into research and development of big tech, weapons, everything, you name it. As I mentioned before, they have the highest GDP of any country in the world, so they have quite a few cyber criminal groups that are gunning for a share of that cash. So on the list for Joetopia, we have national military and intelligence agencies that are going to be gunning for intelligence secrets. These are going to be used to kind of counteract the military exploits that Joetopia is still taking part in across the entire world, and also to get a little bit of revenge. On top of military and intelligence targets, those same military and intelligence agencies, as well as private companies and hackers for hire, are going to be gunning for Joetopia's private companies. They're going to be going for something called intellectual property. Think of intellectual property as the kind of secret sauce that goes into private companies that make up their biggest products. Think Coca-Cola's secret recipe or the secret recipe for a Krabby Patty. All of those countries are going to be going for that IP because they don't want to spend the time, the money, and the effort in order to figure out those secrets themselves, so they're just going to steal it. Finally, we have our favorite cyber criminals on the deep, dark, dank web. They're going to be aiming for cash. They're going to be using ransomware, regular malware to steal banking credentials. They're going to be gunning for people's credit cards, and they're going to be selling them on that deep, dark, dank web in order to make money. So we've got a pretty good list for Joetopia. We have military and intelligence agencies. We've got private companies and hackers for hire, and we've got cyber criminals aiming for money. Now let's move on to Joe Incorporated and see what the brilliant minds at Joe Inc. have to worry about. Joe Incorporated has offices in several different countries. That presents a kind of unique challenge in the legal world, actually. So when a company enters another country, they run the risk of that country deciding to create laws that require a company to hand over all of its personal data. Now, if that were to happen, Joe Incorporated is essentially screwed. There's no hackers involved, there's no sweet technical stuff involved. It's not sexy at all, but it ends up being the exact same thing. Joe Incorporated loses all of their secrets, and whatever country decides to use their legal system to steal them gets to skip out on all of the time, money, and effort spent to actually develop that IP. So they have to worry about an entire legal system in literally every single country that they enter. They also obviously have to worry about the same exact government and intelligence agencies, as well as private companies and hackers for hire, that are gunning for the secret sauce, the IP, the intellectual property. Since they're targeting Joetopia in order to steal the IP, they're going to aim for the people who have the IP in their possession. Those are the private companies, Joe Incorporated included. So Joe Incorporated is going to be targeted by these same military and intelligence agencies, as well as private companies and hackers for hire. Speaking of legal issues from the first example, Joe Incorporated has kind of a checkered past with regards to their treatment of the environment and their own workers. Some technical-minded activists or hacktivists have figured out that Joe Incorporated has this checkered past, and they're targeting Joe Incorporated to kind of get a little bit of revenge and hopefully force Joe Incorporated to care a little bit more about their environmental footprint. These hacktivists are hackers with a political motive. They go after companies and individuals who have a certain political slant in order to basically coerce them to think differently. Joe Incorporated is one of those companies that they would go after. So Joe Incorporated has to worry about the military and intelligence agencies. They have to worry about the private companies and hackers for hire. They have to worry about a legal system, and they have to worry about these hacktivists. They also have to worry about cyber criminals. Now, the cyber criminals who go after governments like intelligence agencies and militaries, they tend to be the upper tier. Cyber criminals who go after private companies can be of, basically any tier. They can be the low tier, mid tier, high tier actors. That all has to do with their technical competency. Since Joetopia has a huge budget to spend on cyber defense, usually it's going to be the higher tier cyber criminal actors who go after these military and intelligence targets. But since you can't expect a private company to have the same defense budget as a massive country, you can pretty much open up the possibilities to just about any cyber criminal group. So to narrow it down, we've got our four main adversaries for Joe Incorporated. We've got cyber criminals of all tiers. We've got hacktivists. We have the military and intelligence agencies, as well as the private companies and the hackers for hire that are going for the IP. And we've got an abusive legal system that allows a country to steal IP without even having to worry about using hackers or anything technical. Now, between Joetopia and Joe Incorporated, we have a lot of shared worry. Joe Incorporated and Joetopia have to worry about a lot of the same people. They have to worry about hacktivists, they have to worry about cyber criminals, they have to worry about military and intelligence agencies, they have to worry about private companies, they have to worry about hackers for hire, they have to worry about legal systems, all of these different things that a large country and a large multinational conglomerate company are going to have to worry about. What about Joe? Is Joe, with his wife and 2.5 kids, his 9-to-5 lawn mowing job, his perfectly normal 401k, is he a foreign intelligence target? Are they going to be going after Joe in order to get intelligence secrets to help overthrow a regime or help influence politics? I tend to doubt it. You see, Joe has pretty narrow ambitions. He hopes to someday retire and maybe open up a lasagna parlor. A guy with a normal 401k, a wife and 2.5 kids, and narrow ambition to someday open up a lasagna parlor, he doesn't really have to worry about military and intelligence agencies gunning for his secrets. As long as he votes, he really doesn't have to worry about a legal system in some foreign country stealing his lasagna parlor ideas. You see, Joe doesn't have to worry about those things because he has a different narrow set of things to worry about. He has a different threat model. The whole purpose of this video is to explain to you that the vast majority of the people watching this video are Joe. That's not an insult. That's not me saying that you're not important. That's me saying that you just simply don't have to worry about a lot of the things that are in the news. There are obviously going to be exceptions to this, but this course is built for the average Joe, the person who doesn't really know what they have to worry about. The purpose of this course is to explain the threats that have the intent and the capability to target you in an online world. The most important thing in this entire course is in the first episode. It's understanding your threat model. Throughout the rest of this course, I'm going to help you develop your own threat model so that you can understand the things that you should be worried about so that you can properly defend yourself against them in an online world. Thank you all for watching. As I said in the beginning of this video, this entire series is going to be 100% free. It's going to be funded by donations, people who reach out and want to help out monetarily or want to help out with equipment, but mainly through Patreon. If you check out my Patreon page, it's pretty sparse right now, but I kind of hope to develop it into an extension of my channel. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you so much for the support, and take it easy.